Well, good afternoon or good evening if you're in the beautiful USA. And if it's overseas, I hope you sleep well tonight. And it's in the wonderful Wednesday morning in the Pacific Rim because my lives go out all over the place. I am Bruce, also known as the guy in the blue shirt, particularly on LinkedIn. And my methodology is simpler, faster, better. And I am so delighted to be with Catherine and Tab, who are in Phoenix, and I'm not far away in Tempe in the beautiful state of Arizona. So hello, Catherine and Tab.
Hi.
Hey, good to be here. Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. So I wanted to kind of set the scene here because we're going to be talking about a passion that I know the three of us all hold in common, which is, how should we properly, and I emphasize the word properly, power up our local networking. And so I wanted to really set the context for somebody that may not know anything about what's happening, particularly in the wider Phoenix, East Valley, West Valley location here in Arizona. And I had met Tisha Marie Pelletier about 2 years ago virtually. And we started to build a pretty thriving and lively set of communications and Zooms and doing some things on live streams. So I was on Tisha Talks, one of her live streams, and then she's been on mine a couple of times. And then fast forward to her relaunching Social Connect, which was earlier this year. And it was in Chandler. And Social Connect is all about, really building meaningful relationships in person, not passing business cards around, not shuffling the deck, not throwing flyers at people, but real live in-person communications. And I got to actually, I think, literally bump into Catherine and Tab. So fast forward a few weeks, Mary Fane Brandt and I had launched LinkedIn Local Phoenix in the East Valley. And what we did is we wanted to invite people from Social Connect, who we thought would be a great addition to our meeting audience. And so wonderfully, Catherine and Tab showed up at the LinkedIn Local in Chandler at the Sleepy Well. And then I got to chit chat with them again. So that's why they're here. I said, hey, what do you think about coming on live? And let's do a session on networking. And they jumped at the opportunity. So did I miss any of the steps out?
No, you covered it really well.
The only thing I would add to that is there's like another, this doesn't really have an ending, right? It just has a beginning. We met Kenyatta Turner and Sherry Gideons there.
We did.
Subsequently went to their event that they had last week, met more people. So it's, that's not the, the end. It's just the middle. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I liken it to, I'm not a gardener and I'm useless at it, but the people I see that are good, with these seed boxes, they have these seeds that they, sprinkle around the seed box. And some of the flowers are successful in coming up and blooming and some of them aren't. And we were talking offline. I liken that to the fact that, what I found in my years of in-person networking, which is my preferred mode, not digitally, is that, I'm only going to jive with about 8 or 9% of the people, and 92, 91% of the rest of the people aren't going to be my jam. They're not going to be my jive. And as a result, my flowers aren't really going to grow very much with them. But but the ones that I do find are, similar in nature or similar in whatever it is that makes us jive. I've been very fortunate. I've been able to help cultivate, some little baby flowers into some pretty big flowering bushes over my career. So that's my kind of visual, because I'm a visual learner to all of that. And yeah, you're right. It's interesting you should mention Kenyatta, because the first in-person event that I went to, which was Tisha Marie's first Social Connect back in Chandler as well, I met her mom, or mom and daughter, I should say. I met them both. And they came up to me and said, "Don't I know you from somewhere?" And I said, "Well, I do stuff on LinkedIn." And they said, "Oh, you're that guy in the blue shirt."
That's awesome.
Didn't remember my name. So that's another interesting piece about, you know, personalized networking, right? You got to be memorable. And however, so what are your thoughts on, you know, powering up in-person networking? You know, let's talk about that memorability. What are some of the things you've learned about what's worked well for you?
I've learned that there's a lot of Zoom fatigue after COVID. And a lot of people are really craving that in-person, in-person one-on-one, and they're just so done. Maybe it's because, I mean, it's obviously due to COVID, but a lot of people are still not back to the office yet. So they're not getting that one, you know, that FaceTime with each other. And even though Zoom is as wonderful as it is, or whatever video conferencing you have, it's still different than being able to reach out and shake that person's hand, or, you know, if you know them really well, give them a hug, you know, if that's the thing, or whatever. There's just that added connection that you get in person more than you do online.
Yeah, absolutely. So before Tab answers, he's gonna go for it. I'm learning to read his body language already. Kenny D, all the way from Sugar Land, Texas. He is an amazing supporter for me. So if you're ever in the Houston area of Texas, Kenny D would be an amazing guy to reach. He's super supportive, and he's a smart gentleman, and he does an amazing thing in the analytical laboratory system. You know, kind of one of those services that we all take for granted, but and he supports the MD Anderson Cancer Center with all of his skills and support. So he does a very meaningful thing down there for sure. All right, Tab.
Awesome.
Hey, Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny's saying hi. All right, so yeah, in person, being a little bit, you know, a little memorable when we do get to meet in person. What are your thoughts, Tab?
You know, there will always be a place for, you know, if you know you're meeting Kenny, right?
Right.
Or you can't meet, right? But
we will.
That in person, getting together and seeing people is really ideal, right? And it's where you get that chance to put forth your personality, right? And sometimes, you know, sometimes you go into those events and you meet somebody and you're just like, wow, there's an instantaneous connection.
Right.
And one of our events that we had there were several people, but we had one individual that we had just met introduced me to a guy named AJ Coulter, who's going through kidney failure. He's a comedian, but there was just this immediate bond. And we went to lunch. We went to lunch today because that bond was there. And that's the memorable, positive, memorable. There was somebody that I met at another event that, you know, it was that, what do you do? And as soon as I said what I do, I didn't even get a chance to finish it because I didn't really want to talk about what I do, right? I more wanted to just build a relationship. And immediately she shut me off because I didn't fit her narrative. And then somebody else asked me something and I said, oh, one of the things, networking Phoenix. And she turned it back on. Oh, hey. You know, but that first, I was like, yeah, you know, you can't do that because you just don't know. So you have to go into every one of those relationships like you're about to meet your best friend.
Absolutely. You know? And actually, talking about the person you met yesterday, if they need some local support, I don't know if you remember Dwellin, who was doing the registration desk. He's associated with Kidney Trails, and his business partner called Anthony Reed, who's based in a different state. They also live stream as well, and they're So I'm happy to introduce you guys to Dwellin, who can, and that might be a resource, you know, being.
Yeah. We love that. I mean,
yeah,
you know, that would be great. So thank you.
No, you're welcome. And it's funny because Anthony was a very young receiver of kidney disease. He didn't even realize he had it. So he's got an amazingly heartfelt and deep-rooted story, and that's why he's really passionate about helping others. And Dwellin's pretty high energy. And in fact, Dwellin, I think, is going to volunteer again for us at our LinkedIn local event. So and I'll be seeing him next Thursday, just a smaller deal. So
yeah, he was funny. He's really engaging. He's hilarious.
You remember him? Yeah.
Oh, I remember. Yes.
Oh well, there. See, good. So memorability. Good segue, Catherine. Memorability is also about that energy stamp that you leave on people, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I don't know about you, but I used to do the old management theory of brown stamps and green stamps. Obviously, green stamps are good. So when you can leave a good green energy stamp on somebody, but we fall foul or fall into the trap of stamping people with brown stamps sometimes. You know, we might be having a bad day. We might be frustrated. We might be short-tempered. You might be lost. We might have just, you know, messed up something big time and missed our goals. And so what are your thoughts on that energy stamp, leaving that impression as you power up your local networking?
Do you want to go first?
I'll go, yes. So one of the things, it's interesting that you're talking about the energy stamp, because one of the things that I really love, we have fireside chats where we bring in industry leaders and they talk. And because it's a more intimate setting, you know, there's not blaring music around like there is when, you know, we have mixers, which are more of like a party atmosphere. I'm able to witness people actually connecting with one another and saying, oh, I know someone, you know, just like you did with your friend and our friend AJ, and connecting the two of them. And that gives me so much energy. So it's totally selfish on my part. But when I'm able to come away from those events and realize people are actually making powerful, meaningful connections, and you know, whether it's to help them move forward personally or professionally or however, but just making, you know, those alliances with people is so rewarding, and it just gives me so much energy.
Right. And I'm sorry, I got distracted. I didn't mean to do that to you.
No,
Kenny saying it's not showing on LinkedIn, which drives me nuts, because sometimes StreamYard and LinkedIn don't always hold hands. So Kenny, if you're at least hearing this, then thanks for letting me know. And I can't fix it because the joys of live streaming. Anyway, but it will go out as a replay. So
oh yeah,
that's right.
You
So
yeah, sometimes you like Catherine said, you know, it just happens and you just make it work, right? And it just goes. So
well, yeah, I was almost about to bounce a brown stamp onto LinkedIn there, right?
But you know, it is interesting that, you know, the energy, we're bringing energy no matter what, right? Even if we're solemn and, you know, we're just not feeling it,
right?
That's still an energy that we're bringing, right? Whatever it is, we're bringing an energy, and so it's up to us to go into something with the proper energy, right? I mean, you know, I've seen people that come at it, and I'm like, you know what? That energy, although it was high energy, was a disingenuous energy,
right?
And you know, and usually it's when people are over polished. You know, sometimes when I talk to people and they're, you know, man, boy, they've got their elevator pitched so well that I just come back and I'm like, you know,
what does that really mean, right? You know,
it's off. So I much more prefer like real positive energy and that. So
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. And go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, and I think, going back to yours, people can have a bad day or, whatever, and you can acknowledge that. And it's totally okay to not be, operating at 100% all the time. It maybe what you're going through can help somebody else go what they're going through. So.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know if, and I'm sure you do the same, when we asked for the 2 volunteers, which was Dwelyn and Teresa, we know that they bring a high energy impact no matter what they do. And so for Mary and I, that was really important to have 2 kind of energy, high buzzing people on the registration table. So if somebody did, they may have got lost, or they came a little bit disheveled, or, they just had a major issue happen before they left to come to the event. We wanted those couple of nice high energy people to kind of help them if they're having a bad moment. So, and then bad moments is life, right? So you can't network and power up your local networking without taking account that things are going to happen, and things always, or they can happen when you least expect them. And I don't know about you, but I selfishly find that if I do force myself, if I force my inner self to go outward to an event, it actually helps readjust my, how I come across. What are your thoughts on that?
You said when you force yourself to go to an event?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I love that, because, one of the things, and you probably have some level of similar experience, unless you're just unusually special, and then I want to know what your secret is. But if you have a registration, let's say you have 50 people register, somewhere around 20 to 30 of those people are actually going to show up.
Right. Yeah.
Some of them just aren't, and some of them are perpetual registers. They register for everything and they never show up to anything.
Right.
And so, and so something happens, because even like we do these Zoom calls, we do these, I know this is a live, but just hear me out on this. We do these Zoom calls, and somebody will register 10 minutes before the call, and something happens in 10 minutes that blows up in their life, and they don't show up. And it's not just one person; it's all these. It's the craziest thing. One of the things that I never hear from people is, I wasn't sure I wanted that I wanted to come tonight to go to the event, and I did anyway. And oh my gosh, I wish I wouldn't have. I never hear that.
No.
I never hear. I really wish I wouldn't have shown up. But I always hear, I just wasn't feeling it today. I didn't feel like coming. I didn't feel like showing up. I'm so glad I did. That is something that we hear all the time. And so I know it's cliche, and it's not, that old saying, half the battle is showing up. It's not half the battle, but if you don't show up, then nothing's going to happen.
Game's over. Yeah.
So force yourself to show up. Just force yourself to get out there.
Yeah.
You have to.
Absolutely. And it's funny, because I think we have a similar passion about also wanting to help guide people in how to power up, particularly in-person local networking, do it the right way. And before I left Southern California, I used to work with a lady who was also a LinkedIn local leader. And when everything stopped in person, we continued to do stuff virtually, and we kept it real simple. And we kept saying to people, there's 3 steps. You got to show up, you got to engage, and then you got to follow up. And that's it. People way overcomplicate what networking is all about. But it is absolutely staggering to me how many people would, they'll make the commitment to show up. They do a great job of engaging and a lot of high energy, and then they never follow up. It's just it's just like crickets. It's like, well, what happened there? And so what are your thoughts on that? But that one really, to me, that one really frustrates me, because they've kind of wasted all the time in many ways. But anyway, so what are your thoughts?
Yeah, following up within that first what is it, 48 hours at the most, is really critical, because all of us are busy and we're all, having meetings or having, here and there. And it's easy to kind of, it's awful to say, but forget what that connection was if you're not following up immediately.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's a busy world out there. It's we get over consumed with content coming at us and people coming at us, and new opportunities to solve problems coming at us. And yeah, it's the brain gets easily overloaded. So it's kind of amazing. And little sidebar on that, I was actually having a one-on-one with 𝐿𝒂𝒊𝒂𝒚 last night, and we were talking about really honing in on our organizational skills, because a lot of people don't realize when you are a local networking leader, they don't, they just kind of see the event.
Yes.
But they don't see all the other stuff that goes into making it happen and sustaining it and making sure it's a high quality event. Anyway, we were talking about being organized and using our time, and I said to her, I said, hey, I have to defrag my brain every day. If I don't defrag my brain somehow, and some of the simple things I do, which is not for everyone, like I'll get rid of all the trash in my email. I'll get rid of all the spam. Because I find that if I don't, that stuff's it's like buzzing around and it's always distracting me. So anyway, so that's just and it's kind of like that with, if you don't defrag, the energy from meeting new people, you tend to forget about it, or it gets lost in the shuffle. So anyway, they say the fortune's in the follow-up, right?
That's right. Were you going to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, I'm somewhat of a cynical individual.
No, really?
And this comes from years and years and years of being in just the corporate environment and people, and I always think, how much better we are than like Batman. Batman has the Joker and Penguin and and whatever. We don't need that. We have ourselves. We're our own arch nemesis. We will get in our own way, and there are times when I meet somebody, and they'll say, oh, let's get together and do this, whatever this is.
Right.
And my first thought is, this is never going to happen. And I'm like, it's just not going to happen. And I will say, I will give them a next step. I'll throw them a bone and I'll say, hey, why don't you reach out to me tomorrow and let's set something up.
Right.
Reach out to me tomorrow and let's set up a next step. And I don't know what the actual percentage, but I would say, I want to say it's like 9 times out of 10, I never hear from them again.
Right.
Yeah. Why go network? Why even go do it if you're not going to follow up?
Right.
There's this could you imagine going on a date and then, oh, that was a really nice woman, and then you never called her back. And then you're like, I don't know why I'm single. I don't know why my business is failing. I don't know why I can't close anything. You don't follow up. And
right.
It's mind-boggling that just how much people miss a critical step.
Yeah. Well, that's a great nugget of leadership there. So for the people that are watching in, and if it is not connected to LinkedIn, they can still watch it as the live. If you are watching in and you are seeing it on LinkedIn, and just give us a comment or something. You're allowed to comment. We don't, even if it's to let us know, yep, you're streaming live on LinkedIn. And I don't want to try and disconnect because I'll mess it up.
And if we're not streaming and you don't see it, give us a message anyhow and tell us.
Exactly, yeah. So I was about to say that's a great leadership tip tab, and a tab tip. How about that? Maybe
there we go. Yes.
Tips.
Well, yeah, it's there's just like we're really big, and we just launched our website finally, And when we're out there telling our people how to use it, I mean, every bit of it is, make connections with people before the event, do an introduction, go and meet them. You're at the event, go and say, hey, and then afterwards, go and have a conversation. So don't make networking a snapshot in time.
Right.
I mean, I get it. Sometimes, the connection's not going to be there, right? And you don't want to force a follow-up because there's just nothing there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if there's something there, absolutely make sure you care enough to do that.
Yeah, it's back to the 3 steps. If you strip it all away, we started with, show up. You gotta show up, and you've gotta engage. And the engagement can come in different formats. It could be actively listening. That's engaging. People get confused about what engaging is. It's not always talking. Sometimes it's in the listening. Sometimes it's in the, hey, can I get you a glass of water if somebody's got a bad throat? Anything like that can be really complete in terms of engagement. And sometimes it's in the smallest of things that can come the biggest results. But the key thing is, even if you show up and engage in however way you feel comfortable to engage, if you don't follow up, like you said, that's the frustrating piece. You've kind of thrown all that time at the wall. And I'm a process guy, as you know, and it drives me absolutely crazy when people don't realize that time is one of the only non-recyclable elements on the planet. Once you've consumed the time, it's gone. You are never getting it back. You're never going to be able to rework it. And I am floored by the amount of people that just throw time away. And it's like, oh, and then they say, well, I'm too busy. It's like, well, yeah, you are too busy.
Yeah.
Too busy throwing it all away instead of using the follow-up successfully. Okay, Anthony Reed came on. Oh, saying still not streaming on LinkedIn. All right, thanks, Anthony. Anyway, Anthony, his ears must be burning. So Anthony is from Kidney Trials, and we were talking about you a little bit. So Tab may have a connection that we need to get you and Dwellen hooked up with. So
yeah, Anthony, this is, even though it's not on LinkedIn, this is an exclusive group of people that get to see this live.
It is.
Is that how you frame it when it doesn't go exactly right? It's exclusive.
Thank you for the tip, Tab.
Yeah.
I don't always say it that way because I am very anal about my processes as well. I take them very personally.
But what's cool is we, what do we have? At least 4 of us, right? Well, 5, I guess. She's here.
Sure.
Thanks.
So, but a very small group. And we're talking about networking, and obviously we're talking about live networking. But in this case, we were just talking, Anthony, about somebody that we met at one of our events. Maybe you know him. Is a guy named AJ Coulter. He's a kidney.
He's on the waiting list.
He's on the waiting.
He's got kidney.
AFGS. Is that what it is? No, FSGS.
Yes, something like
because
that.
he has anyway. He's a comedian, and yeah, I mean, maybe there's a connection there that,
Sure.
he's all about bringing awareness, and that guy is funny and a ball of fire.
Yes, he is. He's great.
Sure. All right. Well, Anthony, I'll take Tab's tip that you just gave. If you'd like to reach out to Tab, he's on LinkedIn, and his wife Catherine is also on LinkedIn, so you can see their names there. They have Tab's an unusual name, so he should be easy to find. There's lots of Catherines on there.
There are.
There's actually 2 Tab Pierces on LinkedIn.
Oh, there is? Oh, okay. Well, I found you through Catherine. So I did have the same trouble. I was like, which one is it here? So,
yes.
All right. So great segue. You were talking about the evolution of your website. Perhaps talk to people about another alternative in-person high-quality networking arena that you guys have just recently got heavily involved in at the leadership and ownership level. So talk a little bit about that, and then I'll do my little outtake plug. So
Go ahead.
Me? Oh, okay. So yeah, I would say we jumped in with both feet. So in October, we acquired Networking Phoenix, and we really took like control of the reins January 1. Up until that time, it was us just doing the handoff and all of that. And to say it is it's an experience would be an understatement. It has been.
I get it.
Yes.
All of that stuff. And, we've tried to put our own stamp on this, right? I mean, it was, we're kind of doing we're doing everything that was done previously, but more of that. And then, we do our monthly mixers. We do our, we started doing these fireside chats on a monthly basis, and those have been, it's kind of like fireside chat meets mixer, and we keep it to an exclusive group of about 30 people or 40 people, somewhere in there.
Right.
And that's been pretty great, to say the least. But you can see the networklive.com. It's actually www.networklive.com, because our developers created it in such a way that if you don't, it looks like the site is down. So we're getting to deal with all kinds of fun stuff like that. And people say, why don't you use a networkingphoenix.com? That's a whole story. We'll get to that someday, but
not right now. Not important.
He doesn't love us.
Yeah.
But really, our ultimate goal is to move beyond Phoenix and go national. But right now, Phoenix is our love, and it's our baby, and it's what we're growing and are focusing on. So that's where we're at. Did I miss anything?
No.
All right.
Okay.
So networkinglive.com. Yeah, my bad. I left the hashtag in there. But you might
networklive.com. You got it right.
Yes.
Yeah, networklive.com. So yeah, that's awesome. And again, you're pretty accessible here through LinkedIn. Actually, do you have a presence on YouTube? Because it will come out on YouTube tomorrow as well.
Networking Phoenix.
Networking Phoenix on YouTube is our channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when it goes, I'll let you know a few minutes after we finish up. You can go back in and add those links or additional comments to either of you. And yeah, if you wanted to add the next couple of events coming up, maybe for March and April, that would be awesome as well. Because you never know. What I have found interesting enough, the difference between in-person networking, powering up that local in-person networking, which I love, along with you guys, is that it's a lot more instantaneous. On my live chats, I find that people will often see them months later, and I'm always amazed at how many people will say, "Oh, I saw you interview, Tab and Catherine," and it might be like 4, 6, 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So wow, so it is forever. So so that's
I get that. Yeah, I get that. I do a lot of podcasts, and so I'll get somebody that'll come up like, "I saw you on this podcast," and I'm like, "I don't even remember that podcast," but I'm glad you saw me. So yeah, totally get that.
It's where technology and that in-person energy comes together. I mean, that's actually why I love live streaming. I was very camera shy until October 2019, and I actually had somebody force me to be on camera, literally. So his name's Brian Schulman, and I met him. He's from the San Diego market, and I met him in Los Angeles when we went to a LinkedIn local in person in the Los Angeles area. So come a long way. Yeah, come a long way. I didn't even take selfies until early 2020.
Wow.
So, yeah. And you're my 149th live, which I've loved. And hey, on Friday, I got my 150th, and I've got a little bit of fun coming up for that one, because I figured I don't want to be too serious for that one. So.
Very cool.
That's awesome. But see, that connection that you made in person
has
launched you into this.
It changed the trajectory of so many things. It's at the time I thought, oh my, talk about not wanting to engage or not wanting to show up again. it was dreadful mentally. But
And you know, one real quick thing on that, you think about that. So often we go into a networking event and we say, I do this thing and I'm looking for this. I don't know. I'm a carpet cleaner looking for a carpet to clean. Right. And instead of going in and saying, what relationship can I build and can I foster? Because there may be things that open up that you just are not expecting.
Right. Well, and the other thing, and I think I actually remember asking you guys this, is I try and not ask people what they do anymore. I've actually found that I actually say something like, hey, what are you passionate about? Because if you get them talking, some people aren't passionate about their career or their job or whatever, but once they start talking about their passion, you can really see, well, well, number one, selfishly, am I really going to jive with them or not? So that's sort of like a fast track.
Right. Yeah.
Because I like to be productive with time. And then the other thing is it's amazing what that conversation around what are you passionate about will open up. And that was kind of the conversation I had with Brian Schulman. What are you passionate about? And he said, I am just in love with the whole live streaming experience, and LinkedIn gave me the beta testing, and on that night he live streamed for almost 4 hours.
Wow.
So I know. So it was the single longest beta tested live stream for LinkedIn that was done, and that was by Brian. And you could tell his energy just went from being, he's pretty high energy, but it went off the charts. As soon as I said to him, so you love this? I didn't even finish the sentence. So you love this stuff? And he's like, woof, and he took off like a volcano, he's like, and it was obvious because he was all over the room having fun with everybody. And
that's awesome.
I didn't know he was live streaming until afterwards, but anyway. Yeah. This is LinkedIn video. And I looked at him and I didn't even know what to say. How about that? All right. Well, it's been a delight. I'm going to do my little selfish outtake.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was great.
Okay, good. Yeah, we'll say bye to everyone.
So, what if your processes do not work well? Did you know you can save or eliminate massive amounts of wasted steps, time, money, or other resources? Bruce can show or teach you how. Take the next step. Visit his website at processcleanup.com and book a casual yet confidential call with Bruce. It just might change your world forever.
Yeah, and Trina Poole is another great networking story. So I met Trina through a connection of a connection of a connection, and actually the first connection in that train I was a live guest for. So yeah, you never ever know.
Yeah.
All right, final words, and then we'll call it a night.
Just go out there and network, get out there and meet people. And something else that Tab and I talk about quite often is when we go to an event, we don't go into an event with the idea of what am I going to get out of it. We go into the event with what can I do to help somebody. And when you switch that perception of, what am I going to get out of this event to what can I give or what can I do to help somebody, complete game changer.
Absolutely. And yeah, well, a couple of add-ons there. I moved to the Dallas Metroplex, so I have a strong base there. So if you guys ever want to duplicate in Dallas, I can help you.
We're going to Dallas. Woo!
Actually, I'm going to Dallas in March. I'm about to give my ask before you get, but anyway, so that marketplace is all about give before you get, and they will, and the people that have been successfully networking there, particularly in person, they will they will pound that into you until you either get it or don't bother to show up, because so they're
Dallas is one of 3 cities that we're looking at going to next.
Okay.
Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. So
yeah, because they're the
Texas. Woo! So
well, because they're the 7th, 8th, and 9th fastest growing cities still in the U.S. I think, or 8, 9, and 10. I can't remember which order they're in.
And selfishly, it's a safe bet that there's not going to be a mask mandate thrown at us real quick. So
correct.
That too.
Yeah.
Yes.
The only last words that I'll say is, if anybody watches this, and well, that sounds bad. Whoever watches this is what I want to say. Send me a LinkedIn invite and just let me know that you saw us on here. I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and we would love to help people with the what does it take to show up, engage, and follow up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's not that difficult, but like anything else, honing a skill, you got to practice it. And
yes.
Practice, and
Yep. Totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
everybody.
Yeah, I'll show you the recording. Yeah, thanks everyone for dropping in. And I just got a message now saying, yes, LinkedIn is having trouble streaming yet on StreamYard. So, oh well. All right.
Okay, they can watch the recording over and over and over. There you go.
Yeah, I can play it on a loop. How about that?
There you go.
When I'm on loop 101 or 202, hey, I found loop 303. Didn't know there was a 303 until the other day. So
that's awesome.
And I was on it. All right. Thanks, guys.
All righty. Thanks. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.